Hi everybody and welcome back to the Girly Girl Bookworm. So another video where I look like this. I was making this video kind of in response to Keisha's video. Keisha, I think her username now is Keisha Forsaken. She used to be Forsaken 707, but I think now she's Keisha Forsaken. She made a whole video about her book buying, like, history and how it's changed and things like that, and I really thought that, I felt like I needed to make this video, especially being on a book buying ban right now. I felt like I needed to explain myself a little bit and, just have a discussion about, how your book habits have changed and things like that. So my story is I was a big reader in about 9th grade. I was constantly at Borders. I was constantly buying new books. I had a new book every day, because I was just reading like crazy. And then I stopped reading. Not too sure why. Part of it was because I was getting a little bit made fun of in school, because if we ever had a slow moment, I'd bring my book out and people would be like, what do you do, read a new book every day? Nah. And I think I might have been a little embarrassed. I don't really know, but I stopped really reading a whole ton in high school, and then about college time I was reading books basically only in the summer. I mean, granted, college is so tough in general with life and sororities and school, and things get in the way. And I basically just read over the summer, and I would just buy books as I need them. I'd kind of go in the beginning of the summer, I'd buy 6 books, and I'd be like, these are the books I'm reading, here we go. And then I started watching Elle Fowler on YouTube. Because back in the day, all I watched were beauty videos all the time. That's all I watched. And then she started doing book reviews, and I was like, those books sound good. And I was kind of toying with the idea of starting reading. And I graduated a semester early from college. I technically graduated halfway through my senior year. And I remember being on vacation. We were at Hilton Head or something, and I remember going to a Walmart and I bought all these bargain books, and I started reading. And that because that spring I was balancing grad school. They let me start my 5th year program a little bit earlier, so they let me start my classes then. So I was taking classes, and I was part-time living at home, part-time living at school, because I was taking classes and I was going home and working the rest of the week. So I was working at a daycare, and when you work at a daycare, well, at least my daycare, they have nap time, and nap time would be from 12 to 3 o'clock pretty much. And so there was that big gap of time where the kids are sleeping and you could be doing things, or I use that time to read. I was allowed to read during my nap times. So I decided that I was going to start reading, and I started reading those bargain books, and I started all of a sudden Hunger Games was coming out that year. So I binge read The Hunger Games. I bought the box set, and from there it just blew up. All of a sudden I started reading Divergent because did a review on Divergent, and then I started reading The Maze Runner and The Vampire Academy, and I was just reading up a wazoo. That's really when my reading kicked in, because after Elle, I started finding BookTube, and I started watching all these other BookTube videos. But at that point, I was still only buying books as I needed them. I would go to BJ's and I'd get a book there, or I would order a Maze Runner book, but I wouldn't buy the next one yet until I needed it. And so I was very much a buy as I needed. I'd buy a couple here and there, but I didn't have a whole ton. Then fast forward to September, and I was having a dream one night and a couple nights, and I was I think I want to start a YouTube channel. I was I think I want to. And I was dreaming about it. I was I'm going to call it the Girly Girl Bookworm. I'm going to make haul videos. I'm going to do this. I'm this is what I'm going to do. And I started my channel 4 years ago. And then things got a little changed. So I had a birthday right after I started my channel. and I got a gift card from my parents to buy some books, and I had a box of books, and I think there might have been like 5 or 6 in there. Those were my to be read books. I had a box in my room, and it lived there. Here's my 6 books I need to read. And then my life grew from there. Then I discovered my school, like my library bookstore. So I not only had the box of books that I read, like that I was going to read from like Barnes and Noble, but then I also had a box of all of my library books that I was starting to buy, and I was starting to have way more than I was like reading. And then I also discovered like Goodreads, and I started winning like Goodreads giveaways, and like Barnes & Noble would be like, if you buy our credit card, you get, not credit card, but like if you get our credit card, then you get like this amount of gift card back. So like then I was like, okay, let's do that, and I was buying books with those gift cards. So I had way more books than I was like ever owning before. Then I was entering Goodreads giveaways, and I was winning those. So then I had a box for that. I had 3 boxes in my room at one point, because at that point I didn't have shelves. I only had my window seat of bookshelves. And then I had a box for my bought books, I had a box for my library books, and I had a box for my giveaway books. I had 3 boxes. And then eventually I got to the point where like I had 4 boxes in my room. It was like insanity. And I was like, oh, I gotta make sure I like read blah, blah, blah. And then I'm at Book Outlet, and then it was like, here's more books that I definitely did not need because I wasn't reading. So, like, my book buying ban like, my book buying, once I joined YouTube, like, skyrocketed. And, like, the one good thing was, like, I was still buying books so on the cheap. Like, I was finding cheap books. I think one of my very first YouTube videos was, like, finding cheap books. So, like, I was buying, like, dollar books from the library. Like, they're $1, whatever. I was buying, like, books on bargain, and you know what I mean? Like, I was buying things cheaply still do that to this day, but like my book buying went like crazy. Like, I went from having like just the amount of books that I needed to read for the next 6 books to like having this wide variety. And then I was trying to figure out like, how can I be fair to each thing? Like, I spent money on these, so clearly like I felt like I needed to read those, but like at the same time I was like, I don't want to read all those at once because I just spent like $12 on them, so I need to make sure I'm like taking turns. I went crazy. And then obviously now I'm at that point where this entire bookcase is all books that I have not read yet. Like, that has never happened. Granted, Jen was so nice and kind to give me a bunch of books that she was getting rid of, and I think I kept about 40 of them, and then like the rest went to like Patrick's Classroom and like other places where they were gonna have a better home than with me. But like, this stresses me out. Like, and the crazy thing is, I've done book buying bans. Like, I don't remember what year it was. I think it was 2012. I did a Project 50 where I had to read 50 books before I could buy books. And I made it. I did it. I read all 50 books before I bought again. And then I bought like 20 books. Like, then like it was like insane. But right now, these are all my unread books. Like, this stresses me out. Granted, okay, there's only one book here that I haven't read, but like, all of these shelves are pretty much like full of unread books, and that stresses me out to no end. Like, I would love to be able to get back to the point where like I'm only buying like 6 books, and I'm gonna read those 6 books, and then I'll buy another 6. Like, this is driving me crazy. So that is like a big part about why I'm on my book buying ban. I've also said that I'm on it to save money, which is true. Like, I'm getting married next year. We'd like to buy a house at some point. So I'm definitely doing it to save money, but also because this is stressing me out. This is a big stress in my life where like a lot of books on the shelf are books that I'm really not all that excited to read. And it's like, but I feel like I'm guilted into reading them because they're here, and like I feel like I'm not being able to read at like what I want, and I feel like that will happen if I could get down to the point where like I only have like 6 books at a time that I'm buying, and then like read those and get new ones. Like, I would love to be able to get to that point again. So that is really, truly why I'm really on this book buying ban, is because of this. Like, and I feel like I've done really well like with this so far. Like, since I fully went on it once I got back from Ireland, like, I got Replica, but I had pre-ordered that back before my book buying ban started. And then I have 2 books that are pre-ordered for November, and that's it. Like, I've done extremely well. Like, granted, like, that book I got for free, you know what I mean? Like, so, like, I've actually, and Patrick got me this one, so, like, I feel like I've done really well with trying to get down to only being able to have 6. Like, since fully going on this book buying ban, I have been able to clear out an entire bookshelf of books that used to be full, and now it's not. So I'm really, really working hard on it. I have been fully on this book buying ban for 2 months now, and I'm really proud of myself, and I'm hoping that this journey is just going to keep going, because I would love to be able to get back to where I was before BookTube. Which is hard, especially because when you are a booktuber, you want to be able to bring the newest and the greatest and the, you know what I mean? Like, you want to bring books to booktubers that, like, the booktube community that they're interested in. And, like, I would love to be able to have hauls again, so that way I can do that. But, like, there's such a, like, a weird, like, pressure of, like, having all the books to having, like, no books. So it's, like, one of those games. So let me know what you think down below. Obviously, everybody has a different opinion on this. So I'm just interested in what you think. So I really just wanted to make this in response to Keisha's video, just to kind of, like, just talk about it and think about it and understand, like, how our book habits have changed and why they're changing.